Hello, welcome to the Loney Show. I'm your host, John Loney, and in this episode, I brought on regular Asperegoose, an Aspero guest. He's from Huddersfield, England, and currently living in Ontario, Canada. He's a science fiction author and has written a huge collection of quality books. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you David Kelly.
Hello, nice to be here.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
So, how's life?
It's pretty good at the moment. It's we're kind of trying to survive the cold at the moment, because we're deep in the middle of winter here. It's quite warm today. It's only -4. A couple of days ago, it was -38. So that's the way it goes here.
Yeah. I mean, England is all right too. Temperatures are starting to rise though. It's starting to get a little warmer, so that's good. That's good.
That's pretty good. So in Netherlands, it's pretty cold. I have to ride a bike with my jacket on without a helmet because my helmet won't fit in with my jacket. It's a big hoodie, so just won't fit.
And Asperegoose, whereabouts in the Netherlands are you currently living in right
now? The northern region.
Okay.
That's
which city specifically, or is it a town?
Specifically Amsterdam, but it's yeah, that's pretty much Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Yeah. I don't really want to say it because like privacy and all that, but yeah, I live in Amsterdam.
It's fine. It's fine. Pretty much everyone knows that I'm from Manchester. Most people, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal in terms of privacy. What would be a big deal though is people know exactly which house I live in and they know my address. That would be an issue. So I keep that under wraps, and so on.
Yeah.
I actually went to university in Manchester many years ago.
Oh, really? Which one?
It was UMist.
Ah, fabulous. And how was it there?
Oh, it's a long time back. It's hard to remember, and especially as a student, you don't remember much anyway.
Yeah.
But it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a good experience.
Great. So, what books have you written throughout the time that between when you were young up until now? What books have you written?
I started actually publishing books 5 years ago. And the first of those was a book called Mathematics of Eternity, featuring a character called Joe Ballon. And it was initially intended to be a standalone book, but it turned into a 4-book series. And after that, I started writing another series based around a character from those books as a spin-off. And I'm just about to publish the second one of those. Should be out in April. And in between those, I decided I wanted something that was a little bit lighter. So I did a book which is basically a kind of pastiche of science fiction. It's very tongue-in-cheek, called Hyperion Jones and the Olive Branch Caper. So altogether, there's 7 novels. And 1 collection of short stories.
Great. Fabulous.
Okay,
Yeah, pretty good.
So just can you please tell us, what these works are about? Just briefly.
The Joe Ballon series is set in the relatively near future. It's set in the year 2147. Basically, the world has kind of been destroyed through climate change, but people are trying to rise above that. And it all centers around a prototype jump ship that will take people to other planets. And various people want to stop that information becoming available. And the hero is a cab driver who gets drawn into this when one of his passengers jumps off the top of a building.
Okay.
So it's very fast-paced, very much action-oriented. I like to make my books accessible so that they're not kind of like restricted to just fans of science fiction, but realistic, and I also want to make them fun.
Okay, I like that. I respect the drift. And when you do write your books, do you have a process in writing them, or do these ideas like come from the top of your head?
I'm very much a flying by the seat of my pants kind of author. I get an idea and I go with it. And although I usually have a reasonable idea of kind of like where I want to end up, I don't know really much of the detail on the way, and it's so it's very much kind of like the story takes me where it wants to go. And the stories actually usually end up surprising me how they turn out. So it's very dynamic is the process.
Cool.
Nice.
So, what was life for you growing up?
I was the same as most people. I kind of did sort of like childish things and whatever. The only real difference was that I very early on I became an avid reader and read my way through several libraries of books. And during that phase I just kind of read anything I could get my hands on, and that was what really started my my love affair with books and reading, and then eventually led me into writing my own.
Okay, nice. And do you have dreams about the stories that you write?
I do have dreams about the stories, in fact, and I actually quite often will dream solutions to problems in the books. And in one case, in my first Logan's Well book, I actually dreamed the entire ending. About 25% of the book came to me in a dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's nice when it happens. Most of the time, it's usually more kind of nightmares, though.
Oh, yeah. So, which season are you most active in general?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Which season are you most active in just in general?
What? I'm sorry, I still didn't catch that.
All right. Which season, for like autumn, spring, summer, or winter, are you most active in terms of your creative process or just physically?
Sorry, I just couldn't quite catch what you were asking there. In terms of activity, the activity in writing is kind of year round. I don't really stop. In summer, I'm kind of like more physically active and get out more, which is mainly due to the Canadian winter weather. In winter here, you tend to stay at home more just because it's a lot harder getting out. But in summer, we kind of like try and make up with it. So it's kind of like lots of, traveling and events and meeting up with friends and all of this kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
Do you travel often?
You travel often in Canada, regardless, because the spaces are so big in comparison with England that you just travel as a way of life, really. I'm 5 hours drive from Toronto, for example. So if I want to go to Toronto for any reason, to meet people, it's like, well, it's 5 hours away. And the province I live in, Ontario, is actually physically as large as the UK and France put together. So traveling is kind of like, as I say, it's part of the way of life here. It's a very big change. So I travel a lot just because of that, and I like traveling just for recreational purposes. And then, of course, visiting friends and what have you, and they're usually quite a long way away as well.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion in general about science and technology?
I'm very pro science and technology in general. I think that there's a lot that science and technology gives us in life. I think there are also times when it can be abused, and it's sometimes difficult to balance those two. But I think overall, I think the benefits outweigh the challenges.
Nice. And do you see yourself still writing books 20 years from now?
I don't think I would ever stop now. It's become almost an addiction.
Okay.
When I actually, if I take a few days off writing for whatever reason, I actually start to get kind of down and feel like something's missing. So yeah, it's kind of a way of life now.
Cool. I like that. Incredible. So,
Oh, okay.
do you want to say something, Asperegoose?
Yeah. I wanted to ask, what kind of themes do you usually like to incorporate, like into your works? Like, do you like to incorporate themes of, the impact the technology can have on the future, or do you like to talk about, make commentary in these books on what's happening in the world? Like, what is it inspired by these novels in general?
I include things like that in the books. There are commentary on various sort of situations that I see around the world and how technology is heading. One of the big themes in the first Joe Ballon book, Mathematics of Eternity, was very much about surveillance society and where that's kind of leading. I don't kind of try to preach in the books in the sense of like, what's necessarily right or wrong, just kind of more my kind of observations of what's going on and where this might take us. In terms of the actual individual themes of the book, they tend to emerge as I'm writing because of the way I write, as I say, in this very free-flowing manner. It's like I don't usually have a theme in mind when I start, but the theme kind of emerges as I work.
Okay, that's cool. That's good.
I love it. Yeah.
Writing as you go along. Yeah, that's great. It's nice to keep these ideas fresh in your head. Otherwise, you just forget. Yeah.
Different writers write in different ways. Some people like to plan everything down to the last kind of word in the last sentence. Other people kind of tend to be more free flow with how they write. It all depends on what works for you. No two writers write the same way. It's a very personal kind of process, which is good because obviously we're all different.
Yeah, absolutely. So, is there any particular restaurants you like eating at often?
Well, for the last couple of years, I haven't eaten in any restaurants. I'm kind of waiting to be able to go back in one.
Really?
Yeah, just with COVID and the restrictions and everything, I haven't been comfortable with those kind of situations. So,
all right, yeah, fair enough. Okay.
So like the last couple of years, I haven't really done anything like that. It was mine and my wife's anniversary a week ago, and we got takeout.
Oh, that's nice.
Which that was as near as it gets just at the moment. But I do enjoy restaurants.
Which restaurant did you get it?
Sorry?
Which restaurant did you get it out of? Like Tim Hortons or?
Oh, the name's gone off the tip of my tongue now.
It's okay.
Sorry. Yeah, the name escapes me just for the moment.
It's fine. It happens to all of us. So, do you enjoy like going out into the fields in Ontario?
Yes, both me and my wife enjoy camping a lot, and we used to do that quite a lot, but not so much recently. I had some medical issues a few years ago, and that's kind of put a little bit of a kibosh on that kind of thing. But we do sometimes rent cottages and so on, and we love the lakes and the scenery around here. We go swimming a lot in summer when it's warm. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, throughout your entire life, what was the weirdest nickname you were given?
The weirdest nickname I was ever given. Mom.
Mom.
MOM. Because when I was at school, I went through a period when I said I used to read lots and lots of books about all kinds of things. And I went through a phase where I basically read every book on like ancient mythology I could get my hands on. It didn't matter whose mythology it was, whether it was kind of Greek, Roman, Indian, Chinese, etc. And people said I was mad on mythology, and so that was where this came from. Mom. Hello.
Oh, sorry. I'm back. I'm back. Sorry. There was a notification on my device, and yeah, I really struggled to hear it. Oh, this is the first time I actually fixed the same issue I had for ages. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
That's all right.
Oh man. So where were we?
Do you need me to repeat the answer about the nickname?
Yes, please.
Oh,
I missed it all.
I was just saying that the weirdest nickname was Mom, MOM, because when I was reading lots and lots and lots of books as a child, I read an absolute ton of stuff about mythology from Greece, Roman mythology, Indian, Chinese. And so people said I was mad on mythology, and hence Mom.
Ah, okay. Cool. Is anything you want to ask? Anything else you want to ask him, Asperegoose?
No, I think I really got everything.
Okay. So, which season do you prefer, spring or autumn?
Autumn, I would say. Spring here is very, very wet and very, very soggy, whereas autumn we get a lot of beautiful fall colors in the trees, and it's usually still quite warm. So definitely an autumn kind of person.
Autumn is like generally like here in Netherlands. Like I've been here in autumn, and this is the time when the sunlight dies. Like literally, just any chance of good weather, it just gets thrown out of the window and onto the pavement because the weather for the last couple of days has been abysmal. It's just awful. I had to ride my bike. Yeah, I had to ride my bike today from college, and I was riding against the wind. And I tell you, my legs have never felt so broken. Like I'm pretty sure I've lost so much fat in my legs the last time. So autumn is terrible. I like spring more because that's when actually good weather returns. I feel much safer in spring.
Yeah, I don't think you'd like spring here quite as much as it's very messy and very muddy and very wet.
Oh.
We in spring we get all of the melt from the snow, and it just soaks all of the ground, so everything becomes kind of like almost like quicksand, and you can like sink into everything as you're walking and so on. So yeah.
Oh dear. That's not good. I've been struggling for days to get out of that. So, throughout your entire career as an author, what were your high and low points?
The high points tend to come pretty much with every new book. It's like every new book is its own high point. When you kind of like finally get to the end and you kind of like do the publishing and it's out there, it's just such a terrific feeling. There are so many good moments during that process, like when you first get your hands on physical copies yourself and you see them, like, as it were, kind of like in the flesh for the first time. And, when you first start getting feedback from people who've read the books and, leaving reviews saying that they enjoy them and so on. That is just such a thrill every time you go through it. But at the same time, certainly for me, and I believe for a lot of authors, it's also kind of one of the worst times, because you tend to always go through at least a period where you're convinced that what you're writing is absolutely the worst thing that has ever been committed to a word processing document. So it's kind of like it's both all in one.
Okay, yeah, cool. So, were there any trends that you followed when you were younger?
I've never really been much of a trend follower. I tended to just do my own thing and didn't really worry too much about what was happening with other people. So I've never really been, I mean, like, even like now, it's like, if somebody asks me something about something that's kind of famous and in the news and what have you, quite often I haven't got a clue.
Okay, fair enough. I respect that. So, do you ever sing in the shower?
No, I don't. I used to sing in a rock band, although I'm not sure whether you would really classify that as real singing. But no, I think anybody who's heard my voice would probably tell you that it's, a good thing that I don't sing in the shower, I think.
Okay. So, if you could host a talk show, what would it be about, and who would you bring on?
It would be about science fiction, and I would bring on a whole bunch of authors that I used to read when I was younger and get the chance to talk to them. Sadly, most of them are dead now.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I do as well. I mean, there's still plenty of good authors around there, but when you kind of grew up with books from certain people, you'd like to get the chance to talk to them.
Yeah. I think I missed the question now. What is the last thing you text?
The last thing I text, that would be a message to my wife when she was on her way back from work, and she was picking something up for me, and she asked me to remind her so that she wouldn't forget. So I did.
Great. I love that. What's the biggest risk you've ever taken?
The biggest risk I've ever taken, I would say, was definitely moving to Canada. I'd visited a few times beforehand with my wife. We both liked it, but when we actually made the move, we had no jobs lined up or anything like that. We came over and just with the the sort of spirit that, you know, whatever happened, we'd make it work.
Okay. What is your biggest regret in life?
My biggest regret in life would be that I didn't start writing earlier.
Ah, okay.
What kind of content would have you written if you started writing earlier? What kind of content would you have been writing, do you think?
Well, I always wanted to write. I started writing kind of like early on, but I wasn't really kind of encouraged when I was at school and so on. In fact, quite the opposite. I was told not to kind of like get into that because it was pointless and there was no money in it and all this kind of stuff. But I always wanted to.
Yeah, that's stupid. Like kids, in my opinion, should be encouraged by schools. Yeah, sorry, continue. Sorry, yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think it was just the way schools were back then. They kind of like they tried to push you into things that were practical.
Yeah, they should encourage like people to be creative, like to, you know, that's the thing. You know, I don't know what was with the education system back in the day. I certainly wish it was much better. Like I wish now, you know, parents and, you know, teachers were like, sorry, I wish now teachers were encouraging their students to be more open, you know, to be more creative, to, you know, be more inspired, like do anything they want, like be a TikToker, be a YouTuber, be a writer, journalist. Schools should encourage that. They should encourage initiative, and it's a shame that you didn't really get that. But I really hope that your career is now taking off, and it's great. Generally, sorry, it's because it's 8 o'clock for me. My brain is dead. Sorry.
Yeah, same. I can't think straight as it goes past like 3 or 4 in the morning. So yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I just like say these things. Like, I don't like plan any of these questions. Like, the first thing just comes to mind. Essay. Like, my brain does not function.
Yeah, I'd certainly say the same. And this is only let alone the fact that I do have loads of questions prepared beforehand, and I still like, oh frick, my brain's dead. I can't function properly. Oh man, but yeah. Relatable.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, absolute mood. So, what was the one time you've put in so much effort into something?
I think writing my first book was probably the biggest effort I've ever put into anything. I was working in a very stressful job at the time, so just finding time where I felt capable of writing was like very, very difficult. And kind of because of that, and because of my own kind of lack of belief in my own skills and trying to learn how to do this well, the first book took me around about 15 years to write.
Okay.
And so that was probably the biggest, toughest job I've ever done. The good thing was, after I'd done the first one, the second one only took me 6 months. So, you know, it's very much a mental game. You know, the challenges are more mental than they are actual physically typing words.
Nice.
Yeah. How is it like living in Canada, by the way?
Oh, it's wonderful. I love it here. It's you know, the people are very friendly. The communities tend to be very clean, and you know, there's the old kind of cliche about Canadians are all nice, and quite honestly, most of them are. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Canadians
are great.
You know, there's a lot of space and everything. So, I mean, like, you know, moving from England, you know, I mean, you don't have that feeling where everybody's kind of sort of sat on top of each other almost. You know, I mean, like where I live, my house, it's like our nearest neighbor is kind of 200 meters away.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that sparsely populated?
It's somewhat out of town, but most places are kind of fairly sparsely populated compared to England. I mean, unless you're talking about one of the really big cities like Toronto, it's all, far less population density.
Oh, okay, cool. So, if you could change something about your life, what would it be?
Well, apart from the starting writing earlier, I'm not sure actually. I probably wouldn't change that much.
So you're happy with how life is?
I used to be very unhappy when I was younger with how my life was, but over time I've kind of like made changes, and things have happened that have gone the way that I wanted them to go, and so now I'm a lot happier than I ever was.
Incredible. I like that. So what is your favorite drink?
Non-alcoholic, I would say it would have to be coffee. And alcoholically speaking, I like a local Canadian beer called Sleeman.
Call me crazy, but I think, yes, yeah. So with Canadian beer, yeah. Sorry, yeah. No. You can go first. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I just said it was a Canadian beer called Sleeman's Original.
Okay, yeah, because one thing I don't understand is like, because I'm a person who believes that coffee is a bit overrated, because I've tried it before and it doesn't, taste, very, it doesn't taste nice. So like, what is it about coffee that, appeals to people? Because whenever I go, for example, Dunkin' Donuts, I always order hot chocolate because, that at least has some taste to it. I don't know, what is it with coffee?
Coffee, certainly for me, is kind of two things. I mean, I live on coffee, and I don't know why it is, but a lot of writers seem to do the same. And for me, it's kind of partly the taste. I like the taste of it. And partly it's the caffeine that kind of like keeps you going.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like if I'm like low on energy or whatever early in the morning, I only just like have one cup of coffee and just get on with the day. Just use whatever energy I have in my system, yada yada yada. And then when I get dropped down, usually what I would do is grab a bucket of cold iced water, dip my head in, and shake my head out, just dry it off, and just continue with my day. I think that's more effective than just drinking coffee, because if you dip your head in something really cold, it builds up your adrenaline a bit more, and then the adrenaline within your body is natural. Whereas drinking caffeine, although it does give you a boost, it's not built in within your internal body. So I think what I would do is I get up in the morning, fill the water in a bucket of ice, and then just dip my head in, and just go on about my day.
I don't think I'd go for the dipping my head in the cold water. Coffee's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I don't mind getting myself wet, as long as it gives me a bit of a adrenaline boost early in the morning.
It's an interesting technique. I must admit, I've never tried that.
Oh, it really works. It's actually really effective. I saw people do it on television once, and I'm impressed with the results that it does produce.
Maybe I'll try it.
Okay, cool.
I don't know, I just usually the only thing that keeps me awake nowadays is just the alarm clock. I also bought some pills from this company. I actually have the pills right here. These are called study pills. These are actual study pills that college students can buy for 19 euros. And I gotta say, they haven't done anything. These pills are literally about as effective as a trypophobic condom. It's literally not effective at all. I don't know why. I don't know.
Well, I don't know about those particular pills, but I mean, there are so many scams around, sort of like, study aids and what have you. It's kind of like, I'm not sure I'd trust them.
Besides, the
Yeah.
smell inside the packet is just it's pretty bad. Like I don't know. I think I might have been scammed. I don't know. I trusted them. I thought because I was doing a lot of exams at the time, I was under stress. I thought this was gonna help me. It didn't. I literally felt worse than ever. Staying up all night, and then I would fall asleep with the lecture. And it was just I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
Lesson learnt. Lesson learnt.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Falling
might take
asleep
this book again.
Sorry, I was just going to say, falling asleep in lectures is kind of a tradition, isn't it?
with all those movies, like everyone just falls asleep.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, David. It was great.
Thanks for having me.
It was great having you here.
Thanks for having me.
You're
nice
welcome.
interview.
Yeah, it was nice. With that being said, until next time, stay tuned for more.